Hi people, I hope you have had a wonderful week. Of course we are coming to Friday, so do have a wonderful weekend. But yeah, tonight we are just looking at this day's movements on AMC and of course the past 5 days movements on AMC as well. So AMC in the past week, well, we are still up by a large amount. We can see that from this Monday up until the Friday, we are up by a further 14-ish%, so of course coming up to the 15% range even, which is good. Today, however, is bringing us down by a very small amount, to be fair, but we are still in the red. So from 9:30 up until finish, down by about 0.9%. So again, as I did say, it's not the steepest decrease that we have been seeing, but unfortunately it is a day in the red. Why might this be? Well, of course, nobody knows for sure, and I am not a financial advisor, so please make sure to formulate your own opinions, and of course do your own research, but I'm giving you all of my thoughts on this week's action for AMC, so do make sure to subscribe to the channel. So yeah, now I've mentioned that, let us jump into this video, but of course if you do subscribe, we have many videos on AMC already, and of course lots of other stocks, so it would be appreciated if you could just press that little button. But yes, let's go looking at AMC in the past 5 days. Well, initially we were up very big this week. We can see big gains taking us from a starting price on the Monday morning of $12.18, hitting highs on the Monday evening at a price of about $14.02. In fact, we did hit a bit higher than that in the day, but of course the mid $14 range was basically where we hit on the Monday. Now going forwards into the Tuesday, well, we did see quite a big drop in price. Now we did sit quite stable at this point with a bit more growth coming into the stock up until the Wednesday, and then on the Thursday the share price did explode up by quite a bit. Now, since that high on the Thursday, we haven't really moved up anymore. We have been down ever since. We can see that the majority of Thursday was a red day for the stock, as people were probably selling out of profits, and of course the Friday today has been relatively flat. So again, looking at the actions that we have been seeing, from 9:30 a lot of people were getting out of this stock. Subsequently, we hit lows of the $13.50 range, and ever since we did pick ourselves up very quickly back into this $14 range. And for the majority of the day, we've been trading in the high 1390s up until the $14 range, but again it has been quite flat in that period. So not too much action that we have been seeing. I'm going to be talking more about this in a moment, but it is coming towards close and we are basically sat around that $14 mark. So of course just a bit off it right now, but we are still in that price range, which is pretty good. So ultimately the day hasn't been too red for the stock, and I think this is good. If we do have a look at this one on the 5-day charts, we can just see how flat today is. If we look at this one on the 1-month chart, of course we do still have quite a large gain for AMC, and ultimately that is what, in my opinion, a lot of people do need to remember. A few days with this one dropping isn't always a bad thing. And I think with AMC, in regards to AMC over GME, I think if we are going to see any growth on AMC, it's not 100% picked up to the extent that GME had previously. In the sense that this company does have, this stock does have potential from the hype that is behind it. So I can see this one absolutely going to the moon. But I think what we need to remember with both AMC and GME is that GME didn't go to the moon overnight. It did take quite a few weeks to get there, and we could still be in that period for AMC. So in my eyes, I think it is too soon to say that the hype is over for this stock. I think today being quite flat is a good sign. Another good sign that I am looking at down here on the candlestick charts from Yahoo Finance is basically the action that we have seen from volume. So of course volume basically tells us how many or rather the amount of shares that is being traded of a particular stock. Now, to give a bit of context here, looking at the charts, on the highs that we saw for this stock, we were trading over 1 billion in volume. This was a high that we saw. And from there, of course, volume has been stepping down, and that is to be expected. So in these flat few days, we have seen volume around the 100 million range, all the way down to the 60 million, down even to 30-ish million. So we can see how volume does trade around this stock. Generally speaking, when the stock's price is flat, the volume is quite flat. And volume is, generally speaking, a good indication of what is going on with this stock, because A, it shows us how many people are buying and selling, and of course it shows us how many people are doing nothing, i.e. holding. I think right now with AMC, the majority of people are holding, because when we do look at volume, if we can see that volume has kind of stepped up by a little bit in the past few days, but of course it's nowhere like what we have seen previously. So volume in the past few days, well, we are still in the 200 million range at the high points, and of course we have stepped down since there, down to about 70 million, 80 million, all the way up to 121 million, but of course it is in the low 100 million to the high few thousand million range. So I know that sounded weird to say, but of course we can see see that even that high number for this stock is low. We of course do need to take into consideration the amount of stock in AMC, and of course there is quite a large number of issued shares, so to see 100 million being traded is of course barely anything compared to this 1 billion high point that we saw just a few weeks ago, and that is what we need to remember. So the general message that I'm trying to say with this one is that yes, whilst a lot of people are still trading this one, the volume has been relatively dead to what we have seen in the past. I think this could be a good indication of not much going on. Now that might sound a bit obvious, but that is a good sign. Bear in mind it was only a few months ago that we found out that article from Reddit that a lot of people were just holding this stock. And holding is not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but it does have the power to move the stock in either way. I.e. if a lot of people are still holding and a further larger amount of people considered buying the stock, it could send the stock even higher. And if these holding people do decide to sell, they of course could send the share price plummeting. Now the important thing to remember is with this stock, it is not like your traditional stock obviously. This is no Apple, it's not even a Tesla for that matter. This stock has been receiving a lot of hype from the internet. I think at this stage a lot of people have now accepted that as a fine thing to see. And the people who do follow this stock kind of follow it religiously. They are holding this one. I see them in the comment section saying how they want this one to rocket to the moon. I think that is a reasonable thing for them to expect, as people do want to make money off this. But I think because of the strength of the community behind it, a lot of people will be holding this one into the next week. So today being quite flat for this stock is good. Again, looking at the candlestick from today, we are still pointing towards a red, and the candlestick overall is red. And in fact, the wick towards the low side is significantly higher than what we have seen to the upside. In fact, the wick to the upside is barely even existent. It can't even be seen on this chart. And the wick to the downside is, of course, quite prevalent. So that is interesting to note. But I think going forwards, there is still some potential for this stock. And of course, coming towards the close of market, this wick is also still pointing down, as it has been for quite a few hours. So again, not necessarily the best indication, but the fact that volume is now stepping down is actually a good sign. So I think that a lot of people are still holding this one, and this, in my opinion, does still give me quite a lot of optimism going into the next week. So again, the next week in my eyes is going to be crucial for this stock. We'll have to see if more people buy, if more people sell, if the price does continue to drop, or if today being quite flat is what we needed to keep this one in the green going forwards into the future. Either way, I think we will see a lot of anticipation on the weekend going forwards into Monday morning. I think that definitely will sway us either one way or the other. No matter how the stock does move though, I will be giving you an update, so do make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe if you do want to see that. Other than that, thank you for watching. I'll see you again very, very soon. Goodbye until then.